Nigeria's newest opposition party just made its boldest move yet and created a legal contradiction it cannot resolve. The Nigeria Democratic Congress zoned its 2027 presidential ticket to the south, one term, 4 years, then handed back north. Clean, logical, politically convenient. But here's what nobody is saying clearly. The Nigerian constitution doesn't care about that agreement, and if Peter Obi wins in 2027, he will have every legal right to run again in 2031. The NDC's zoning arrangement has no enforcement mechanism. None. Let's break this down. What actually happened at its maiden national convention in Abuja, the NDC unanimously adopted a resolution zoning its 2027 presidential ticket to the south for a single 4-year term, with the vice presidential slot going north. The motion was moved by Afam Victor Ogin, the lawmaker representing Ogbaru constituency in Anambra State. Delegates also agreed that after 4 years, the ticket automatically reverts to the north in 2031. This came 48 hours after Peter Obi, the 2023 Labour Party candidate, and Rabiu Kwankwaso formally defected into the party. On its surface, this is a north-south power-sharing formula. Kwankwaso brings the north. Obi takes the ticket. Each side gets something. Kwankwaso publicly endorsed the arrangement, framing it as completing the South's 8 years, referencing what he described as the party's zoning process and agreement. That framing is important. The argument being made is that the South should complete its 8 years under President Tinubu. Then the NDC extends that logic by offering the South one more term before returning power north. It's designed to appeal to Southern voters while locking in Northern structural support. But there's an immediate problem. The NDC's own deputy national spokesman, Abdulmumin Abdul Salam, publicly contradicted Galadima just days earlier, saying the party had not zoned its presidential ticket and that consultations were still ongoing. So on the same week the convention adopted the zoning resolution, the party's spokesman denied it existed. That's not messaging confusion. That's a party that hasn't agreed internally on what it just voted for publicly. The constitutional reality. Now to the question that actually matters. If the NDC wins 2027, Obi becomes president. 4 years pass. The party says, "Step down. It's the North's turn. We have an agreement." What stops Obi from simply ignoring that and running again? The honest answer: nothing in the Constitution. The Nigerian Constitution allows a president to serve 2 terms of 4 years each. A candidate is only disqualified if they have been elected to the office at 2 previous elections. Section 135 of the 1999 Constitution states that the president shall vacate office at the expiration of 4 years. But it says nothing about party zoning arrangements overriding the right to seek re-election. This means zoning is a party rule, not a constitutional provision. It carries the legal weight of an internal party agreement, enforceable only within the party's own structures, not by any court, electoral body, or state institution. So what are the actual levers the NDC could use against Obi if he decides to run in 2031? Lever 1. Deny him the party ticket. The NDC could simply refuse to sponsor him in 2031. Under Nigerian electoral law, a presidential candidate must be a member of a political party and be sponsored by that party. No sponsorship, no ballot access under that party's platform. But Obi could defect, which he has done before. He left APGA joined PDP as VP candidate, ran under Labour Party in 2023, moved to ADC in 2026, and is now in NDC. His political record shows he is not institutionally loyal to any party structure. Lever 2. Political pressure from the north. Kwankwaso's Kwankwaso movement controls significant northern votes. If Obi breaks the agreement, that coalition collapses. He loses the NDC's northern base. That is a real electoral cost, but it's a political consequence, not a constitutional bar. Lever 3. The party constitution. If the NDC writes the zoning arrangement into its own party constitution, as the PDP did in 2009, it creates an internal disciplinary process. But even then, it remains enforceable only through party mechanisms: suspension, expulsion, loss of ticket. It cannot prevent Obi from running on another platform. This has happened before. When Goodluck Jonathan completed Yar'Adua's term, the North expected him not to contest 2011, viewing his time in office as the North's turn. Jonathan ran anyway and won, effectively breaking the 1998-1999 zoning bargain. Violence followed in the North after the results were announced. That is the exact precedent this NDC arrangement is walking into. A gentleman's agreement with no constitutional teeth, dependent entirely on the personal honor and political calculations of the person holding power. History says, when the incentive to stay is strong enough, the agreement breaks. The real analysis. Let's be precise about what the NDC's zoning actually is and isn't. What it is: a political marketing tool. It signals to Southern voters that the NDC is the vehicle for Southern representation. It gives Kwankwaso a path to the VP slot or kingmaker role without having to publicly bury his own presidential ambitions. It gives Obi a clear route to the ticket. What it isn't: a legally binding commitment. There is no court that will enforce it. INEC has no mandate to honor it. The Constitution explicitly permits a sitting president to seek re-election after one term. Critics have already called the arrangement transactional, arguing that Kwankwaso is effectively trading northern electoral weight for personal relevance, potentially as VP or as a kingmaker delivering northern votes to a southern candidate. That reading isn't unfair. The NDC needs Kwankwaso's northern machine. Kwankwaso needs relevance after NNPP failed to scale nationally. Obi needs a platform. Everyone gets something for now. The tension detonates in 2031. If Obi wins in 2027 and the NDC is in power, at that point, Obi will control state resources, federal patronage, and incumbency advantage. The party asking him to step aside will be his own party, the one he leads. The northern faction will have to make a political calculation, fight an incumbent president within the party, or exit and fracture the coalition. Nigeria has been here before. It didn't end cleanly. Closing thought. The NDC's zoning arrangement is a political solution to a political problem, but it is not a structural solution. Nigeria does not have constitutionally mandated rotational presidency. Every attempt to enshrine that in law has failed. What exists instead is an informal norm, powerful when both sides honor it, meaningless when one side has power and chooses not to. The NDC has made a promise. Whether that promise survives contact with actual power is a question only 2031 can answer. But based on every precedent in Nigerian political history, The answer should give Northern stakeholders pause. A party agreement has never stopped a Nigerian president who wanted to stay. That's a wrap on today's Political Pulse episode. If this broke it down the way it needed to be broken down, subscribe, hit the like button, and share this with someone who needs to understand what's really happening in Nigerian politics.